Hello everybody, welcome to Nutritious Fitness. Once again, I'm your host Kurt Dirksen, a certified personal trainer and once again a nutrition geek. Not quite an expert yet, certainly not a registered dietitian, but I want to share a little bit today about my ongoing experiments with myself, nutritionally. Won't get into any other quirky things. Specifically, I cut out, you could say I cut out sugar, specifically I cut out chocolate, of which I ate a lot for most of my life. So just as an example, I was on average probably 7 days a week eating at least one, typically more like two, king-size chocolate bars. So we're talking between 400 and 1,000 calories a day of chocolate. That was my primary sugar source. I also added some brown sugar to my breakfast cereal, things like that. I've also cut that out. This was tough. I've done this in the past for up to 3.5 weeks. This time I've gone over 3 months. Actually, my goal was 3 months, and then I was going to make an appointment with my doctor, get some blood work. Here I am on the date of this recording, about 4 months into it, and I'm committed to leaving chocolate and most sugars out of my diet. So just as an example of sugar intake, I was taking in an average of 150 to 200 grams a day. Not of carbohydrates. That might be a big number for some people's carbohydrate intake. That was just my sugars, on top of any carbohydrates I got from fruit, vegetables, whatever else. So I cut it down to an average of 50 to 80 grams a day. That was mostly just fruit, vegetables. I still treat myself to a little breakfast cereal, which has some sugar content to it, about 11 grams per serving, once or twice a day. So again, 50 to 80 grams versus 150 to 200 grams. Big decrease in my sugar intake. What made me get through this for so many months versus previously only surviving weeks was my goal wasn't weight loss. I will cover a little bit about what it did with my weight and body fat. But that was not a motivator to cut out chocolate. Love it too much. My motivation here was blood work at the doctor. Changes with my celiac disease and other things. I had high ANA. I was told I might be having an autoimmune condition like lupus. Celiac disease is also an autoimmune condition. And I wanted to see what it would do to things like my blood sugar, which has always been low, even taking a lot in. In fact, just as an example, in a college course I was taking, was a fitness course. We had to do a finger prick and test our blood sugar and then do some exercise and see what our blood sugar would do. My blood sugar on that morning was 78. That was with breakfast and 4 chocolate brownies filled with chocolate chips. That was breakfast cereal, brown sugar, chocolate brownies. All right, so that just as an example, I went to that class, and 90 minutes later, my blood sugar was 78. Everyone else in class decided to do it fasting. The lowest in my class for blood sugar was 100, and that was in the fasting group. I chowed down on breakfast and sugar and was 78. So I figure my body processes something about sugar differently. I don't know what, can't explain it yet. Still trying to find an answer. But again, my motivator here was to change those values, blood sugar, ANA, indicator of inflammation, again going along with that suspected lupus diagnosis, and a few other things. So let's get to the computer and have a look at weight loss results and my lab results.
Okay, so again, the goal of this particular nutritional experiment was not to lose weight, but cutting out 500-ish to 1,000 calories a day of chocolate and a few other sugars was bound to have some effect on my weight loss or on my weight, on my number on the scale. So just as an example, my last chocolate was on April 10th, so here I am, April 11th. 179.8, just using my home scale with its body fat measure, and always wearing the same thing, always taking it in the morning after going to the bathroom, consistent weighing. Started out at 179.8, 180, whatever, round it up. I'm not sure the scale can really be that specific, and 14.5% body fat based on bioelectrical impedance analysis from passing a current through my feet on that scale. A month later, look at that. Wow, what am I, 3.6 pounds down already, and 0.5% body fat down. You can see it's not a significant change if you just compare all 4 pictures I'm no professional photographer, so my angles aren't perfect. Lighting is pretty consistent, but it doesn't make any obvious difference there. Maybe if I had a tan. Anyway, getting into June, the 2-month mark, down to 175, lost another 1.2 pounds, another 0.3% body fat down. And finally, wrapping up the 3 months, I was at 174.8, only lost 0.2 pounds that last month. My body was adjusting to my diet and my calorie intake, and 13.7% still on the body fat. So no significant changes there. So nothing exciting to report. Again, obviously cutting out chocolate and sugar, bound to have some effect on weight and body fat. But now let's get down to lab numbers, my not so exciting Excel spreadsheet here. Eosinophils, I put L for low, N for normal, H for high next to these values where it was applicable. You can see my absolute eosinophils, white blood cells of one kind or another. I'm no expert, I'm no doctor. Actually went up a little bit. Just to be fair to some of these lab values, a few weeks before the end here, a few weeks before I got these labs drawn, I got gluten. I am a celiac disease sufferer, and I made some changes in my diet. I added an ingredient that turns out might have had some gluten in it, even though, God, never would have suspected it. I'm tracing it back to what I call no salt. Just wanted to salt my food without using sodium because I have diagnosed high blood pressure. Again, looking into whether any of these dietary changes will fix that. But so I got glutened by no salt, by potassium chloride. Again, it's a processed food, if you want to call it that, spice. And while it doesn't claim to have any gluten ingredients in the ingredient list, it may have been made in a factory somewhere that also processed wheat, rye, barley. I suspect that was the troublemaker because I originally thought it was a cheeseburger I had locally, lettuce wrapped, that I'd been eating for years without a problem. But then the symptoms didn't go away for like 3 weeks. Usually they're gone in 2. And then on to 4 weeks. And I realized, hey, I've been using this product since about that time I had that suspicious cheeseburger. Lo and behold, I think it was no salt. Let me get back to my labs before I bore you too much with that. So my eosinophils went up. Again, may have been a result of gluten. Lymphocytes went from normal to low. I don't know what the story of absolute lymphocytes really is. Again, just want to share the values here. My ANA screen, positive, positive. I don't think it's supposed to be positive. We'll get to ANA values, the actual numbers in a second. In fact, next couple lines down here. ANA titer. There we go. Let me highlight those 2 lines. It was high before, back in February at 640. It's supposed to be, I think it was in the neighborhood of somewhere under 500 to be normal. And it doubled. Again, I may be able to attribute that to gluten, or it's very possible that chocolate actually helps me. I won't know until I put it back into my diet someday, but again, that's going to be a while. That ANA pattern remained the same. I don't know what that really means. Doctors can figure that out. Calprotectin in the stool. They were looking for blood in my stool, I believe it was. An initial reading was high from last fall and even higher now. I don't know what that's about. Or I should say fecal globulin, positive, negative, so I don't know what that's about either. Just showing you what these numbers are doing, the lows and the highs. Ferritin, I don't have a previous reading on that, but nevertheless it's related to iron in my blood. Low. So go figure. Glucose remaining about the same. Remember that 78 I mentioned earlier in the video regarding my college class? There it is. And that's after breakfast. I ate. I did not fast for this test. Hemoglobin A1C, I'd like to explain this. 4.1, a nice low value in the past. Normal. Still normal, but went up by 0.8 despite cutting out probably 100 to 150 grams of sugar a day. My overall average blood sugar went up, as the A1C dictates, about the last 3 months average. Iron, normal low, quite frankly, a little bit higher for the more recent test. I don't know if taking out chocolate had any benefit there. Just simply pointing out the changes here. Iron binding capacity, normal, slightly lower. Percent saturation, low before, normal now. Love to think taking out some sugar and chocolate helped that out. I'm not sure. sex hormone binding globulin. I asked for a testosterone test. I don't have a previous reading from my current doctor's office, but it was low in the past, and I just wanted to know if chocolate was any influence on that. Normal total testosterone, free testosterone, and bioavailable testosterone low. I hope to get a future reading on that after cutting out diet soda and whatever else I decide to eliminate from my diet. But just want to point out that that's what happened with my blood work. Some quirky things there. If somebody can explain that A1C going up despite reducing my sugars significantly, I'd love to hear from you. And that's all I have to share here regarding weight loss and the blood work at this time. We'll see what the future holds with other nutritional experiments. Thank you.
All right, so that's it for today. Part 1 of my experiment. My next phase here, which I just started a few days prior to recording this, was to take out diet soda. I have been an addict of diet soda for at least 15 years now. Started out with a little 32-ouncer every couple days, then every day, then a 44-ouncer, going to the local market and filling up. Lately I thought, oh, just to cut out going to the market, I'll buy a 2-liter bottle and drink the diet soda at home. Well, that actually increased my intake because I had it around and handy to about 3 liters of diet soda a day. So part 2 is going to be the results of that and any effect it had on my blood work and other tests at the doctor. I will share that with you when the time comes. I'm thinking another 2 or 3 months until I get to part 2 on air here. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Take care.